Okay, so let's talk about the internet now. The internet, like I mentioned earlier, is going to be the most cost-effective form of advertising. This slide is a picture of an organic search conversion funnel. And basically the idea here is that we want to turn organic search results into money as efficiently as possible. And so the idea that we hope is that in each stage, we're not losing a large percentage of our customers, even though we know we're going to lose some customers. So the first thing that matters is your rank in terms of the search engine results. Obviously, you want your business, your website to appear as high as it can when Google pulls the business up. All right. So next you have the click-through rate, and that is the likelihood that a visitor is actually going to click on your link when it appears. Obviously, being higher is going to help with the click-through rate, um, but what that link actually says and the blurb beneath it matter as well. But there are some other things that we'll talk about that help with the click-through rate. Then there's the stick rate, and that is the percentage of visitors who land on your page and then stay there for greater than 15 seconds. So if they stay there longer than 15 seconds, there is a lot higher chance of you getting a sale. And then you want the engagement to happen, right? You don't want them to look there and stay for a while, but not really dig into the content that's there. So if they do additional clicks, if they explore more content, this is what's known as micro conversion. That's engagement. So now they're officially engaged, interested in what it is that you are selling. And then finally, a conversion happens when a visitor completes your primary call to action, whether that is making an order, whether that is writing down your address or saving your address to their phone so that they can visit your business in person, whether that's signing up for a subscription, whatever it is. That's the ultimate goal of all of this conversion. So this is the funnel. These are the different steps that we're going to be going through over the next few slides. Um, and we want to think about how the experience of your customer is actually occurring and making sure that we have the biggest possible number from the top of the conversion funnel um, emerge at the end of the conversion funnel with an actual conversion. So we want to maximize all stages of this. We want to maximize our efficiency in each and every stage. So the first thing we need to talk about is search engine optimization. The main key there is how high your results appear on the Google results or on the other search engine results. First of all, keywords are key. You can use tools like spyfu.com, hubspot.com, Google Webmaster to find the keywords that people use the most. So when people are searching for a product or service similar to yours, what are they typing in there? You may know that what you would have typed in there, but it's helpful to know what the general public is typing there, right? It may not be exactly what you would have chosen as what you Google. Secondly, you want to know what your site's average ranking is for a given keyword. If there are keywords that people are using over and over again, you want them high, and they want to show up high when they type those things in. There may be a magic combination of keywords for your particular business, um, and you want to make sure that you know what those are. There may be something that you can Google to turn your business into the #1 hit. But if nobody ever Googles that exact phrase or that exact word, then that's not helping you a whole lot. So what's your site's average ranking for the different given keywords? And so there's going to be a dashboard on these websites showing what the different top keywords are and where you rank for them. And that's a lot more time efficient than for you to try to figure those things out for yourself. And then finally, we need to know what the top results are for those keywords. And you can look, it's kind of like in the simulation where I've been preaching that you should go with what's working well for others. Look and see what a highly successful website looks like. Like, look at the top keywords and then click the top few links and see what websites look like that that come up high when those terms are searched, right? You want to emulate, you want to design your own website to look like those websites, all right? And their design is not the only thing driving those results. The exact words that they use are also driving them, but also, people seeking them out and click. Like, if it's a more popular website, it's more likely to be highly ranked on Google, and you can't really help that. Um, that's going to drive the results. As an early stage business, what you can affect is optimization, getting your keywords in the right places, and having a lot of those keywords. The first thing you're going for is more impressions. Impressions are the number of times that your link was displayed when people searched for a given keyword. How do you get more impressions? Well, you've got to optimize your page for several keywords, and you want to make sure you are using the tools or using your knowledge. But mostly I would say you should be objective. Use the tools. Don't try to wing it. Make sure that you add the most important keywords to the different places on your web page. There are basically 6 places where you want your keywords to appear once. They don't need to appear multiple times. You're not trying to cram more and more of the same keyword where they fit unnaturally, but you want to get keywords, important words, the words that people are Googling, in these 6 places. The first place is the title tag, and this is the text that serves as the main title for the web page. It goes directly into the page's code, and the search engine displays it on the top title bar. You will definitely want to include relevant keywords and make sure that those keywords align with the content of the page. It shouldn't be a bad fit, right? Just don't try to, fit keywords that don't have anything to do with the content of the page. Second is URL. This consists of the names of the file that contains the web page code and its location within the site. So like the HTTP / that stuff. Just remember that using meaningful words and keywords in those names can help position your site too. All right. Also included are headings. These are different than the main content, so there's going to be several headings on your page. When you design a web page, there are boxes for you to put headings in, and Google results are going to look at those headings separate from the main core text. You want to make sure that your keywords fall into those headings. All right. Next, we have the meta description tag. This tag goes into the web page's code as well. Now, your website visitors won't be able to see this, but search engines do see it, and actually they pay a lot of attention to it. This should be a sort of paragraph describing the content of your page for the search engine. So you need to include the keywords again there relevant to the page and content in order for your search engine to see that. So Google and search engines are looking at this stuff in the background, and they're making decisions about where to rank a website based on, one component is these meta description tags. So really important, don't leave those blank just because people can't see them. A lot of people try to leave them blank or just fill in, a couple of words or even some gobbledygook there. No, don't do that. Write a description of your page in plain English. All right? The search engines are reading your text in plain English, and they want to see that it makes sense and that it flows well. Okay, there are also some captions, also known as the image alt tag. This is just a short description of every image that goes into the page's code, and it will show up when someone puts their mouse over a particular image. So the little blurb or caption that comes up when you hover over something. You want your keywords there too. That's really important. Don't ignore those. And finally is actually the main text, the main content. Your keywords should be included in this text so that the search engine recognizes that the content really is relevant to the search term. And this is the only place where you might want to include a keyword more than once. If you have a really long section of content and it's only got the keyword in there once, well, you may want to consider including it like if you've got multiple paragraphs, which in general you're not going to want to have big walls of text, but if you do have multiple paragraphs, you might want to include the keyword in each paragraph. Just make sure it sounds natural. It's going to be very unprofessional if it reads like you're trying to unnaturally cram a bunch of keywords into a short blurb. You're trying to, be a good writer here. You just remember that you want to include the keywords. Other than content, you want to use a keyword once in each of the elements. If the search engine picks up on the fact that they think you're trying to cram things with keywords, Google is actually going to suppress your results, and you don't want that to happen. A few other ways to ensure that your website appears at the top of search engine results. The first is deploy responsive design. That just means that your website is optimized for both personal computers as well as mobile devices such as phones. You've really got to have both there. And it's not just that, oh, people are going to try to load my page on their phone. If it doesn't come up so great, too bad, they'll close out of it. First of all, that's terrible, right? Because more people are searching on phones now than on laptops and PCs. But secondly, Google, the search engines are actually going to see that, and they're going to tamp down your results. You're not going to be optimized. So make sure that you're prepared for both. Second is the page loading time. Google is going to suppress anything with even a moderately slow page loading time. So you want to design your website in a way that is optimal for loading time, and there are some best practices for that. You may consider, getting a website designer if that's not your thing and you don't feel comfortable wading into those waters to do it for you, because this is something that you've got to have. All right, and then having external links from other sites, especially social media, can help boost your web page results, where you fit in the search engine rankings. And so the search engines actually like it when you do it. It's not just that more people are going to go there from those places, although that's certainly helping you, but linking other websites is something that they're looking for. The next part of that conversion funnel is the click-through rate. All right. And the click-through rate is the number of clicks per impression, usually expressed as a percentage. So basically the number of times that people actually see your link to your website on the search engine results and click it. Obviously you want to be as high as possible, and that's going to help the click-through rate. So moving up the search engine results page is going to give you a higher click-through rate. It's been shown. And that's just because people read the page from top to bottom, right? They're going to come to you first. Secondly, improve by making the title tag be the keywords that viewers want to see. So having those keywords in there has been shown to improve the likelihood that somebody's going to click it. And then below that tag that you click, the link, if you have a well-written summary paragraph and website description that shows what people are actually searching for, that's going to help. And you are going to be the one that determines what that paragraph says. So make sure you're doing those things to optimize your click-through rate. Once people click onto your website, the next thing to consider is the bounce rate. The bounce rate is the percent who quickly leave your website within 15 seconds. That is the cutoff line for who's sticking and who's bouncing. So if people leave in less than 15 seconds, that's a bounce. And actually, we can even measure the average length of time that it takes people to leave. So here are some averages. If the graphics are missing or are irregular or inconsistent, less than 5 seconds for people to leave. If the headline isn't directly related to the search, less than 10 seconds. If there is poor grammar or spelling, less than 10 seconds. If the page loads slowly, less than 30 seconds. You need to optimize those page files. If it's too cluttered, less than 30 seconds. If are lack of social media links, less than 1 minute. So how do you improve the bounce rate? We've already talked about most of these things. You need your responsive design. You need good relevant content. That is what the customer is actually after. It's recommended to use white as the background color. You can also use black or navy, but white is generally seen as the preferred background that most people think makes the website easiest to see. If your page looks like a mess and people are having to look around and figure out what to do, they can't find the links easily, and it's not immediately intuitive, they're just going to click back to the search results and try another link. Top reasons for website failure. There's a reason why the formatting looks so terrible in this slide. I'm trying to make the point. Don't have your website look like this. That was intentional. These are the exact same reasons that the bounce rate might be high, right? The reasons for website failure is that people bounce away. So read through these on your own. These are reasons why websites fail.
How to stand out on social media. So we're transitioning a little bit from website optimization to how to stand out on social media. A few tips for how to stand out on social media. Number one, be authentic to your own personality. Social media is about connecting with real people. You want to come off as a real person and not just a robotic seller or somebody that's just, consistently in people's faces and overdoing it with the sales pressure. You want to be the face of your business. You want to make sales, but it's more about having good interactions with real people, positive personal interactions. Number two, be where your audience is platform-wise. So when you're choosing between Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc., make sure that you are where your audience is. Number three, keep your target audience in mind at all times. It's really important to have a very good understanding of who your customer is, how they think, what they're thinking about, what kinds of questions they might have at all times. It's really easy to forget those things and just kind of go off, on what you want to talk about or what you want to think about or what, seems important to you on social media. That's not necessarily what's going to attract your target audience. So keep the audience in mind, just like any medium. That's kind of the key. All right, you want to listen to your audience and respond, and this helps tailor the content. So the idea here is that you want to pay attention to the kinds of posts, the kinds of things that you do that get a lot of interaction, and tailor the content, move towards those things that are getting the most interaction, that are getting the most involvement from your audience. Don't ignore people and be accessible. You want to check your social media. There's different rules of thumb, but you never want to let comments go unanswered for multiple hours during business hours. You don't want to ignore people. You want to be accessible. If you do ignore someone, if you don't respond to them, not only are you turning off a potential customer, you're turning off people that see that. They're like, oh, here's a question from 2 days ago, and it never has had an answer. I don't really expect that I can get any interaction from this person. So it looks bad whenever you are not very responsive to your people on social media. Number 6, share content from others to achieve reciprocity. The idea here is that if you share from others, especially complementary businesses, when you do that, you improve the likelihood that they're going to share their stuff with their audience. And this is going to really increase your audience size because you're bringing in a whole new audience. Make it value-based. You want to share cool things from the internet that are related to your business. So Let's say if I stain and sand hardwood floors for a living, I might show different samples of wood and what they look like with different colors of stain on them. Show different floors, for example, show flat versus high gloss, those kinds of things. So make sure you're always sharing things that are going to spark interest, that are, not things that are directly related to you making a sale, but that are going to keep eyes attracted to your content. Number 8, specialize in something. Don't be a jack of all trades. When somebody looks at your account, they should know what to expect. There should not be a random assortment of topics and, they don't know what you're going to come up with next. That drastically decreases the number of people that are going to follow you because people have specific interests. And if you think about a Venn diagram, whenever you start combining multiple interests and you've got 3 or 4 different things that you normally talk about, and you think about those overlapping circles in a Venn diagram. Well, the part that overlaps is getting smaller and smaller, and anytime you post over one of those topics that doesn't interest your audience, then you run the risk of alienating them and getting them to unfollow you. One thing you can do is if your business has, very kind of, and most of you, this is not going to be the case, but if there's, 2 or 3 distinct parts of your business and there's not much overlap in the audience, well, then have 2 or 3 different accounts and brand those things differently. Number 9, enrich existing connections and develop relationships. Quality, not quantity. You want to interact with people. It's good when you may say, oh, I've already connected with that customer. Why are they bothering me again? They're a drain on my time at this point. That's the opposite way that you should think about using social media. You want to enrich those existing connections because strengthening that connection, strengthening the tie in your network, that kind of motivates, energizes that connection to be a touchstone for your business, to be somebody that's going to share your stuff with others, to be somebody that's going to be a positive witness, both in real life, but especially on the internet for your business. The other thing here is quality, not quantity. I will just say here that one really awesome post that's going to snowball and get shares is a lot more valuable than, rapid fire. You send out 1 tweet per hour and they're all, blasé garbage that people are scrolling right by. And so it's important to focus on coming up with good content. And, you may think you hit a home run and you may have to share it a couple of times before you see whether people are going to pick it up or not. But it's better to spend a little time developing a good post than it is to just constantly put out stuff that people don't care about. In fact, those things are going to lead you to unfollows because people are going to get tired. Oh, another random post from this business that, just has no interest to me at all. Number 10 relates to number 9. Amazing content will be shared. 1 excellent post is better than 10 that are mediocre and decent. You're trying to get that snowball effect. So same idea there. Quality, not quantity.
Now let's talk about paid online ads, primarily Google AdWords. If you remember from the traditional media presentation at the beginning, I show Google AdWords because it's a really common form of advertising and it's cheaper compared to most traditional ads. It's not as cheap as Facebook ads, but there is a time and place for it, and I want to talk about it just for a second. So these are those paid ads that appear at the top of search results. Basically, you pick the keywords that you want to pay Google to have your ad appear at the top. You can forget search engine optimization. Now you're paying for Google to optimize that. And it may be text, it may be an image or video. Those are more expensive, and these things appear either at the top or the top on the right-hand side of the page, depending on the search engine. So Google AdWords is a bidding system for each search term, and once people Google you, the click-through rate is quite low, because if most people are like me, they skip those paid ads. That doesn't really hurt you that most people are like me, because what you do get are the people that aren't like me clicking through, and you're actually paying for the click, not for the impression. All right, so you may have to have 1,000 impressions just to get a click, but the people that actually do click are already very interested enough to click, and so those customers are, as you would imagine, very valuable to you, right? People that click on your ads. You're willing to pay quite a bit for people that do that. So whichever company bid, or whoever bids the most per click with a given keyword or set of keywords is the one that is the top paid advertisement. And you don't necessarily have to pay for what you bid. You have to pay 1 penny more than the second highest bidder. That's the way Google AdWords works. Now, this might be a little bit concerning because you're paying per click. If you have limited resources in terms of cash flow and you only have enough money for a certain number of clicks, obviously you want more clicks, but on the front end, it's a little nerve-wracking that, you might get 10,000 clicks. So how am I going to pay for that? How am I going to afford that? So you can set a budget, right? And once your budget runs out, then your ad doesn't show up for those AdWords anymore. So if you're worried about your marketing budget running out, if you're worried about not actually converting those people once they hit your website, and you want to try out an ad campaign or whatever first, that way, if you set that budget, if you give a cap in terms of, okay, after 500 clicks, I'm out because I can't really afford anymore right now, that gives you a safety net where you don't have to worry about, exhausting your entire marketing budget for the entire year. All right, if you do get a click through on Google AdWords, you have a pretty high likelihood of converting that person into a customer. Because of what I said earlier, they already have a lot of interest right there. They're Googling it, they're choosing yours, they're clicking on it. They're not just passively viewing an ad or passively hearing an ad. Your stuff came up and they clicked it. If you're what they want and your website's nice and clean and easy to navigate and has the information that they need, you're very likely, and I say very likely, it's less than 50%, but you're still much more likely than other means of converting that person into a customer. So, it's a very powerful advertising tool. So that's why I wanted to talk about Google AdWords a little. This is a link to a required 20-minute video over how to do Facebook ads. As I mentioned in the previous presentation, Facebook ads are the most cost-effective way of advertising in the history of the world. And even though I know that maybe a lot of college students have kind of moved away from Facebook, that it's kind of becoming, Gen X and baby boomers, this is still the social media outlet with by far the highest market penetration in the general population. And even if you break it down by demographics, even if you look at people in their 20s, it's more likely that they're going to be on Facebook than anywhere else, even if maybe you personally aren't there anymore. All right. So you may choose another platform. You may think, hey, Instagram or Twitter or, LinkedIn or, whatever makes the most sense for me. You can choose that platform, but really you want to choose Facebook as a secondary platform. So this is just a quick how-to tutorial on best practices for Facebook ads. He just kind of outlined some of the ways to make Facebook ads work for you. Anybody starting a small business, it's highly worth your time. It's required for the class, but for anyone, it's highly worth your time to go through that 20-minute video. I know that a lot of students in the past have watched this video and they've told me, hey, I recommended this to my dad, or I recommended this to a friend who has a small business because I know that they needed to see it. So definitely check out the link there will be a question for it on the second big assignment for the class.